Mr. Lynch, thank you very much.
You're very
for
welcome.
being here. It's a great pleasure, a great honor.
Thank
to
you,
share this
Carlos.
experience. As we are in an academic stage here, I think it's pertinent to start talking about your formation as an artist. You studied in Philadelphia in an Academy of Arts and then in the American Film Institute in Los Angeles. How do you recall that experience?
Well, I always say that Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is my biggest influence. And Philadelphia, I'm so glad I went there, but it was then always been called the city of brotherly love. Mm-hmm. But almost zero love, corruption, sickness, thick fear, very, very bad place in many ways. But it had a beautiful feeling, mood in the architecture, and that mood and the way the things were built, it's a little bit of a factory town. It seeped into me, and all the fear and everything. And so I end up saying I really loved the place. I went to school to study painting. I always wanted to be a painter. And it was at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts that I made my first film. And that's another story. But anyway, at the American Film, I got accepted to the American Film Institute Center for Advanced Film Studies. And I went there in the summer of 1970. It's a 2-year school, but I ended up staying 4 years and living in these stables down below this 55-room mansion where the school was housed. And I made my first feature film there. And so the American Film Institute has been so good to me. I can't say enough good words about Philadelphia for an influence, and the American Film Institute for helping me get the chance to make my first feature.
Well, here in Thai school, we encourage the students to embrace multidisciplinary paper among cinema, also music and scenography.
That's very, very good.
And I wonder if you think that cinema as an art is the art where every activity, or every artistic activity comes together in a sense.
That's what they say, 7 arts or something. I don't know what they all are. But it's, there's things about painting that find their way into cinema. Music finds its way into cinema. And photography, of course, finds its way into cinema. All these things are going together, writing. And so it's a magical language medium. And for me, it kind of led to still photography. And like I said, I already was a painter. And in a way, it led to music. And it's a thrilling medium, as you all know.
I think that when you were 18 years old, you visit Europe with the main to meet the painter, the expressionist painter Oskar Kokoschka. Do you recall the experience, and can you explain how it was?
Like it was yesterday. I have a good friend named Jack Fisk. I ended up marrying his sister for a while, but Jack was studying painting at Cooper Union, and I was at the Boston Museum School, and we both hated our schools. So we decided we would go. I think it was Jack who heard Kokoschka had a school in Salzburg, Austria. Mm-hmm. But we were completely unprepared, but we set out to go study with Oskar Kokoschka. And before we went, we saw The Sound of Music, because it was all taking place in Salzburg, around there. And I should have known then, it was so clean, and it was beautiful, but not inspiring for painting. Never met Kokoschka, and left there after 2 days. then went to Paris. Jack wanted to go to Portugal. I wanted to go to Athens. We flipped a coin. I win. We took the original Orient Express down to Athens. I woke up one morning with 15 lizards on the ceiling, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to get anything done here. And so we started a trip back.
Mm-hmm. And yesterday you made a quick visit to the Prado Museum. Which paintings you wanted to watch?
I only wanted to see Bosch, Garden of Earthly Delights.
Mm-hmm. Because it resembles a lot of your universe.
It does in a way. The painting is so beautiful in standing in front of it.
Yeah.
There's not been a reproduction I've ever seen that captures what it really is. It was such a thrill, a real thrill.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's up to your creative process. Well, I'm sure a lot of people wonder themselves, where do you get the first idea for a film? Is it a character? Is it music? Is it an image?
The first idea is, I always talk about it in terms of fishing.
Yeah.
So how do you get your first fish? It's a very weird thing. Mm-hmm. You have to go fishing, and you don't know what you're going to catch. So every day, maybe we all are on the lookout for ideas. Mm-hmm. And ideas come, but most ideas are not so thrilling. Mm-hmm. But once in a while, you catch an idea that is majorly thrilling. And I always say the same thing. I like ideas for two reasons. One is the idea itself, and the next is how cinema, let's say this medium of cinema, could say that idea. Mm-hmm. So an idea comes that I love the idea, and I see what a cinema could do with this. I'm so thrilled. But this idea may just be a tiny fraction of the whole film, but this came to me. So I focus on that, write it down, so in such a way that you remember that feeling. Then you think about that, focus on that, and more often than not, because that is a certain way, it will bring in fish to it and hook onto it, and a thing will start emerging, and little by little a script will emerge. So that's how it goes.
Because your latest film, Inland Empire, you film it without a script.
No, that's not true. That's not true. In the very beginning, I got ideas. Excuse me, I got one idea, say, for a scene. Mm-hmm. And in those days, I was really falling in love with digital and digital cameras. Mm-hmm. And so it was very easy to start going to work and just shoot this scene, mm-hmm. not thinking about anything else. This is the scene I want to shoot. Mm-hmm. So I shot that scene. Then a little bit later, I got an idea for another scene. Has nothing to do with this scene. Mm-hmm. And I get excited about that, and I shoot that scene. Then a little bit later on, I get an idea for another scene. Mm-hmm. And I get excited, and I shoot that scene. Now I've got three scenes. They don't relate to each other at all. Mm-hmm. But there is this thing called a unified field. Yes. And there's a thing that unites. And one day, it happened that I got an idea that in and of itself I liked, but it united these other three. Mm-hmm. So then the four became something that conjured a script. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote a long script, and then we started shooting as if we're shooting a feature film.
Mm-hmm. And returning to the idea of the origin of a film, I believe that Lost Highway, for example, the origin was O.J. Simpson's case?
No, not at all. Well, in a strange way, it fed into it. Mm-hmm. And it fed into it, but in the beginning, it wasn't an influence that was noticed anyway. But Barry Gifford and I sat and tell each other ideas, and that back and forth started conjuring a story of Lost Highway. And then when the story became more realized, it was a story of what we call the psychogenic fugue, which is some kind of mental condition where you do something so horrible that it would be difficult to go forward living. But the mind can take that horror and place it in a compartment in the brain, so you can go forward. And in this way, it sort of explains, possibly, O.J. Simpson having done these things, but is able to smile and play golf afterwards.
Well, yes. Well, you are regarded as an independent artist, and you truly are a true master of independence, creativity. So if you can explain how has been your relation through the years with the Hollywood industry?
I have no relation to it. I live in Hollywood, and I love Los Angeles and Hollywood. I love it because I love the light. I love the light so much, and Los Angeles is spread out, and I don't know what it is about it. I have a feeling of freedom in Los Angeles. So it's the light and freedom, and it's a kind of a great feeling there for me. So, but I've never made an out-and-out studio picture. The studios have kind of been on the periphery of a couple, but I've always worked with a producer or a financier on his or her own, and so I'm in the city with them, but I don't work with them.
Because your two latest films, Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire, well, there are, in a sense, dark portraits of Hollywood and how it works in the industry, in a sense.
Yeah, but there's no film I say that shows Hollywood really. Pieces of Hollywood, and Hollywood is always changing, and so it's not ever exactly the same. But there's certain generalizations you could say that it's a place very thrilling. It's a place where people come to realize their dreams of creativity, creating something, expressing something, working in the films for you. Some people come for money, some people come for fame, some people come to express themselves, and it's a magnet for people to realize their dreams. So it's a thrilling place.
Do you think there's a clear difference between American cinema and European cinema or other continents?
There was a big difference, and now it's maybe a little bit less. Hollywood is infiltrated, maybe like a disease. It spread overseas and went around, and so the way it is now, the Hollywood blockbusters are what people go to the cinema to see, and the alternative cinema doesn't have many theaters left to have those experiences. So it's a little bit of it's a major sadness, because I, and I'm sure everybody else, makes feature films to play on the big screen. Harder and harder to find a great theater with a giant screen with great sound, where the film can live there for a while and have people come and see it. So that's a sadness.
Because do you watch cinema that's being made today? Do you have any
No.
interest in filmmakers?
I don't, not that I don't have interest. There's only 24 hours in a day, and I like to work.
So you can't mention some filmmakers from today that interest you, or some films?
I like the Coen brothers, I think. They're always solid. They're always solid. I like Werner Herzog. I like Marty Scorsese. I like I don't know, Aki Kaurismäki. I like a lot of people.
Well, you talked when you wrote about the influence that masters like Hitchcock or like
Yeah.
Fellini or
A
like
lot of
Kubrick.
them I like are dead now.
Yeah, and yeah, that's true.
Fellini, I love. I love Fellini. I just was in Rome and met again, almost 20 years to the day, the niece of Federico Fellini. And 20 years ago, I was shooting a commercial in Rome, a Barilla pasta commercial with Gerard Depardieu. And Tonino Della Colli was the DP. And I had met Tonino earlier. That's two stories with Fellini having to do with Tonino. But this is a strange thing, how life is. But I found myself south of Rome the first time because I was going with Isabella Rossellini, and she was in a film called Dark Eyes, I think it was, Mikhalkov. Yeah. And Marcello Mastroianni and Silvana Mangano were in that film. I'd worked with Silvana before, she's the wife of Dino De Laurentiis. So we had dinner, Marcello Mastroianni, Silvana, Isabella, and I, in an outdoor restaurant, and it was a mushroom season. So there was mushroom starters, then another course with different mushrooms, more courses with mushrooms, and the main course was a mushroom like a steak. And Marcello Mastroianni telling these fantastic stories. And along the way, he finds out that I love Fellini. Next morning, I come out of the hotel, there's Marcello Mastroianni's car and driver with instructions to take me into Cinecittà, and I spend the whole day with Fellini. And it was so beautiful. Then some years went by, and I was shooting this Barilla pasta commercial in Rome. And there's Tonino, who was, Fellini was shooting Intervista when I saw him in Rome, and Cinecittà. Tonino's the DP, and another guy had worked with Fellini, and they said, oh, Fellini's in a hospital in the north of Italy, and they're moving him down to a hospital here in Rome. And he had been having some trouble. So I said, do you think it's possible if I could go say hello to him? And they said, well, let's try. So it turned out that the night we finished shooting the commercial, a Friday night, a beautiful, sunny, beautiful, warm night, got in a car and motored over to this hospital with Fellini's niece. Francesca is her name. And then she said to everybody, only Tonino and David can go in. So the other people had to wait. We went in deep into this hospital. It was very busy in the front, less busy in the middle, and then finally we got to this quiet place, a door, and she went in and came out and said, Fellini will see you. I go in, and there's Fellini sitting between two beds in a wheelchair. And over here is Vincenzo, a journalist. Tonino knows Vincenzo, and he goes to talk to Vincenzo. I go and sit with Fellini. He holds my hand, and we talk for a half an hour. So beautiful. And at the end of the talk, I said, Mr. Fellini, the whole world is waiting for your next film. And he smiled, and we waved goodbye, and out I went. Next day, we go back to Paris, and the next day, watching television, here Fellini's gone into a coma. So how lucky was I to have that last visit?
Sure. Well, we could ask you the same. The whole world is waiting for your next film.
Don't say that. I'm not feeling really well.
Because it's been already
A long
7
time,
years
yeah.
since Inland Empire.
I've been painting and working on lithography and working on music and still photography and trying to catch ideas for the next film.
What happened to cinema in the 21st century? I'm talking about the digital conversion, of course.
Well, that's like, there's good things and bad things. And like they say, the world is always changing. And things do go in cycles. Art house cinema could come back. But for right now, they say the art house is cable television. So people are able to do things in cable television that are really fantastic. And the only problem with that is it's television. It comes through a small screen. And people are not even looking at it lots of times on a television. They're looking at it on, you know, smaller things. And this is, there's very little power in that, and not hardly any ability to really go into another world.
Well, you embraced the digital conversion.
I love the digital, you know, thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have to say, I recently saw some film, and I'd been seeing digital, even high quality digital. But when I saw it, when it was a digital transfer of film, but at the same time, I saw it hit me such a difference. This thing of emulsion on celluloid, it gets something that digital hasn't gotten yet. And it's so beautiful and important. It's really beautiful.
So you missed celluloid. You missed certified.
I miss it. I miss that quality of it.
You don't feel well about someone watching Blue Velvet or any other of your films on a laptop?
People will do it anyway, doesn't matter what I say.
Yeah, that's true. Well, are you optimistic of the future of cinema?
Like they say, cinema will never die. Painting will never die. Photography will never die. So it just changes.
Let's move a little bit to TV.
Sure.
In a sense, Twin Peaks was the origin of this revolution we're living some years ago in the narrative television. Well, how do you, what do you think of this revolution right now on TV? Do you really think it is a revolution?
It's not really a revolution, but I always said I love a continuing story. A feature film has a beginning, middle, and end. And even with that form, there's much room to move. It's not like a certain formula. There's lots of room to move, but it does end. And a continuing story, it doesn't have to end. It can just keep going. And this is a thrilling, thrilling thing.
We were talking about Fellini, and you mentioned Hitchcock and a lot of masters that influence you. I was wondering, what about Luis Buñuel?
Never saw any Buñuel films.
Really?
No.
Never on Jean Andalou?
No, I have not seen them.
And Salvador Dali?
And I've never seen any. I haven't seen them.
Going back to the universe you create on your films, the figure of the doppelganger, of the double, it's very important, very relevant.
I don't think about it, but then I realize that it is important, and they keep coming up.
I wonder in the sense if Vertigo of Hitchcock it's an influence for you?
I love Vertigo. I like Rear Window more, but I wouldn't say that it was an influence, no.
Do you see yourself as like Dennis Hopper called you, an American surrealist?
Not really. I love surrealism, and I love absurdity, but I love many other things too. And the cinema can hold all the things. And so it can go surreal, it can go into a love story, it can go into a crime story or a mystery, all in the same film.
Well, this is a trick question. A lot of studies and essays have very hard tried to define what is it, the Lynchian atmosphere, Lynchian universe. So now that we have David Lynch here, how will David Lynch define something Lynchian?
I answer that my doctor has told me not to think about this.
Because even in Spain, for Spanish
no,
viewers...
it's even worse.
Yeah, there's the word Lynchiano, which is very common between viewers to describe something, that maybe they don't understand, or it has to do with oniric dimensions. And so no definition of Lynchian from David Lynch.
No.
two more questions and then we pass to the audience, okay?
Sure.
Well, I'd like you to talk about the creative process with the music and the image. It's so intertwined in your film. So, how you work with Angelo Badalamenti mainly and
Sure.
musicians?
So, when you get an idea, or ideas that come together, they are like you're seeing the thing, but then you're also hearing the thing, and you're feeling the mood. And the mood, music and sound, huge elements for the mood. And so you feel it and you know it. So the idea is to get every other department going along the line of those ideas. And you get these ideas, before you have the ideas, you have infinite possibilities. As soon as you get these ideas, they dictate a certain road. Not this road, not that road, just this road. And so you try to get everybody you work with to understand that road. And that happens by action and reaction. They say something, and then you say, no, this, and then they say something, and then you say, no, and then they say this, and you say yes. And then they say, okay, and then they do a little bit more, no, yeah, and then they got it. So, all the things. So Angelo can write any kind of music. He's an incredible musician, incredible. So what music is he going to write? It would be ridiculous to give him the film and just say, write what you want to write. How ridiculous would that be? I mean, it might work, but 99 out of 100, it won't work. So you have to work with them to, and I have Angelo and I sit next to him on the piano bench. And so his hands are on the keys. And I start talking to Angelo about mood or different things. And he plays my words. And then I say, no. And I have to change my words, because those words made this, and that's not right. And I'm feeling it, and then I say new words, and he plays those words. No. I have to change my words. I say new words. Angelo plays. Angelo. And he starts going, and pretty fast he finds a thing that is satisfying the necessary mood for that thing. And that's one way we work. Another way is we might make music through this system that just exists on its own, and we call it firewood. So I can go over this pile or this pile or this pile and see if something works later.
For now, I'll be quiet and we'll leave the audience.
Okay, fantastic.
We have 4 questions from students here from Thai. We'll start with them and then we'll make a short break and then come back for more questions.
Okay, fantastic.
So the first student.
Señor Lich, buenas noches.
I don't think that microphone's on. Buenas noches. Yeah, there you go.
Great. Señor Lich, buenas noches. Me llamo Irene y tengo una pregunta. Mi pregunta es que Andrei Tarkovsky pienso que la peculiaridad de cinema como arte es lo que cinema puede guardar el tiempo. Que tú puedes guardar película en un Ken y luego tú puedes reproducir un montón de veces. Entonces mi pregunta es, ¿cuál es para vosotros, para usted, la peculiaridad de cine como arte?
As you all know, cinema can work with time. It can go back in time, forward in time, and it can slow time down. It can speed time up. But what I like about cinema is it's like music. It can have, based on the idea, pace comes in. And the pace is so important to me, how it flows, how these sounds come in, how big they get, how they go out, and how the thing goes. And each scene sort of has a flow. and it has to do with time, but it has to do with a feeling of how time needs to go. So, and it can, like I always say, cinema can say concrete things and very abstract things like music. It can get into a strange time of dreams and dream logic, as cinema can say.
Next question.
Hello, Mr. Lynch. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let me ask you this question in Spanish.
Sure.
Thank you. Muchas veces vemos sus películas en más de una ocasión para encontrarle el significado, el sentido, la trama oculta. Y mi pregunta es si esa manera de narrar, de hacer películas, corresponde, o sea, viene de una intención de retar al espectador o bien de una forma intrínseca que tiene usted, una forma innata para narrar, o quizá una mezcla de las dos cosas o que una haya llevado a la otra.
I don't want to manipulate anybody. I want to, to me, that would be a very bad thing. I want to realize these ideas and the way they came and the way they thrilled me. So I always say I have to understand what these things mean for me. And so sometimes I get an idea and I don't really understand the idea. I love it, and so I have to think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it, and a kind of understanding will come. And then I kind of own it more. So I have an idea that I love, I see a way cinema can do this idea, and I understand this idea. But even for actors or other people working on it's not so important that they understand everything. What's important is they do the thing so it's true to the idea. And then if it feels correct to me based on the idea, then I hope it feels that same way for the viewers. But every viewer is different. So some people, they hate abstractions. They want a concrete thing. Some love to go in the world and just not know where they are. So you never know how a thing is going to go over. So you yourself better be happy with what you did.
Sorry, Mr. Lynch? Good
Yes.
evening. Yeah, my question is about talking about surrealism. I would like to know what made you go from a very surrealistic personal movie like Eraserhead to a more conventional, understandable movie like The Elephant Man. What happened in those 3 years of development? Thank you.
I finished Eraserhead, and it took 5 years to make Eraserhead because I kept running out of money. When I finished it, I wrote a script called Ronnie Rocket, and I love this script, but I'm the only one that loves it. So I couldn't get anything happening with this Ronnie Rocket. So I was just freshly married, and I didn't know quite how much, but my mother-in-law is putting pressure on my wife to get me to do some work to make some money. And since nothing was happening with Ronnie Rocket, I one day called my friend Stuart Kornfeld, and he is a producer, and he has his ear to the ground for many things. So I said, Stuart, do you know of any existing scripts that I could direct? And Stuart said, David, I know of 4 scripts. Come, I'll take you to lunch and tell you what they are. So we went to this restaurant called Nibbler's, I think it's closed, and sat down. And even before we ordered, I said, Stuart, tell me. And he said, okay, David, the first script is called The Elephant Man. And as I say, a bomb went off in my head. And I said, that's it.
Well, last question, and then we take a break.
Hi, Mr. Lynch. Good night. My question is, what advice would you give to young people here in Spain that are looking to enter the world of cinema?
What advice would I give before
To-
entering the world of cinema?
Yeah, to young people here in Spain that are looking to enter in the world of cinema.
Yeah. Okay. The best thing I think is be true to yourself. Find your own voice. Be true to the ideas. I always say, never turn down a good idea, but never take a bad idea. Be true to the ideas, be true to yourself. If you want to die the death, sign a contract where you don't have final cut. But if you want to live a healthy life, never make a film without final cut. Why would anyone go to work on something they love and not have final control? Not be able to make the film that you want to make. That doesn't mean, like I say, you won't take an idea or some kind of suggestion. If it works, you might say, thank you very much, that really helps me. But if they make you take a bad idea, you will die. It's not your thing. Never make a film without final cut. Be true to the ideas, be true to yourself, don't take no for an answer, and don't walk away from any element until it feels correct. You might be working along, somebody says, we got to get out of this set, we got to get out of this place right now, and you say, I haven't got it yet. They say, I don't care, it looked good to me, or something like this. No. You stay there till it gets, you say, I've got it, this is correct. And every single element. And then the thing has a chance to hold together as a whole. And then you put something out in the world, you can never control how that thing is going to go. If the big studios knew the secret of how to, things go, they would be trillionaires. Audiences are funny. The most important thing is that you love what you did the best you could in every element, in every way. And this is a big happiness. Even if you don't make a nickel, you've got that great feeling. And chances are maybe something will happen and you'll make a success in money terms. But you can't count on that. Now, if you make something that you don't love and you sold out and you make the money, that money just won't make you so happy. It won't do it.
Okay, so with these great advices, we stop just for 5 minutes.
And I also would say one more thing, I'm sorry.
Okay. Or two if you want.
Okay. I'm here promoting Transcendental Meditation as taught by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. I've been meditating for 40 years, morning and evening, and it has really served my work. A technique, an ancient form of meditation that allows you to dive within and transcend and experience the eternal treasury. Pure consciousness, happiness, energy, creativity, intelligence, love, peace within every one of us. Intuition is there, knowingness, all these things that serve the work, energy to do more. Ideas flow more and more freely. Bigger ideas come with this diving in and getting wet with this creativity within each one of us. Stress goes away. The suffocating rubber clown suit of negativity begins to dissolve, and you live and work in more freedom. Money in the bank to get this technique. It'll serve your life and serve your work. Now we take a break.
Hello, Mr. Lynch.
Hello.
I read that growing up in Montana, you felt you were surrounded by creative emptiness, and that when you moved to the city, you started having all these ideas, for example, Los Angeles in Mulholland Drive. So I would like to know if Madrid could inspire you narratively for a film. Also, I would like to know if you feel Madrid is a good place for transcendental meditation.
For what?
Transcendental meditation.
Yes. The last part, Madrid is a great place for transcendental meditation. If you're a human being, this technique will work. No matter where you're from, no matter what walk of life, what religion, transcendental meditation is a blessing for human beings. And places talk to us. We go to some place and we feel a mood, and many times these places can conjure ideas. Unfortunately, I've been, in Madrid, I haven't been able to go out and go around and catch the mood. I've been in hotel rooms or, in talks. So it could happen that I'm out walking in Madrid or out in the land, and it starts conjuring ideas. It can happen any place.
Next question. Where's the...
Hello.
¿Te puedes levantar, por favor?
In dreams, our passions and our impulses and our deepest feelings are reflected in a cryptical way, and I think there is an impressive accuracy on how you translate that reflection into your films. Also, some details that happen on daily life, and someone can grab that detail, and then that detail be reflected into a dream, like it happened in Mulholland Drive with Diane when she saw a waitress whose name was Betty, and then she had that dream where herself she was named Betty as well. So the question is if you usually remember your dreams, and if you're like the patterns, you use the patterns on your dreams to make your films, or you use another material, something you have read somewhere, or I mean, if your dreams supply you material to make your films. Thank you.
The question is, do my dreams help me with the films?
If they appear in your films, if you inspire.
No. I always say I've only gotten one big idea from a dream, but I always say I love daydreaming. I love to sit in a chair and daydream, and it's to me like fishing. And in fishing, we need patience. We need a pole and a hook and some bait. And for me, desiring for an idea is like a bait on a hook. So I like to sit and desire an idea that I could fall in love with, and I just start daydreaming, just like sitting in a little boat and fishing. And you don't know, but sometimes you'll get a nibble and catch something. And it may not be something you fall in love with, so you keep on fishing. Ideas are there, and we got to draw them in. And sometimes it's good to walk around or like go to Madrid or someplace to see if it conjures the idea. But nighttime dreams, only once did it come a big idea. What was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you quickly. I was working on the script for Blue Velvet. And Blue Velvet was maybe 95% done, but there were that 5%, there was some big hole. And I was thinking and waiting to find the ideas that would complete it. And one day I don't even remember why, but I went over to Universal Studios for a meeting. And the person I was meeting wasn't ready to see me, so the secretary out in front office asked me to take a seat. So I sat down, and as soon as I sat down, I remembered that the night before I'd had a dream, and the dream started coming back to me. And I went and asked her, I said, do you have a pencil and a paper? And she saw the thing in my eyes, and she got something very quick. And I started writing this stuff down, and I realized that my dream had filled in that last 5%.
That's great.
Hi.
Hi.
One of your most haunting movies, one of my personal favorites, is Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me. And through the years, it's been a lot of talking in the internet about the cat wheel scene not being the ultimate cut.
Deleted scenes.
Yeah, deleted, a lot of deleted scenes. The number of minutes of lost footage is really unbelievable. So we never heard about your opinion on this. I don't know if you feel satisfied with the cut wheel scene. I don't know if you consider that cut the ultimate cut.
Ultimate cut.
Really?
Ultimate cut. You don't put something out, if you have final cut, you don't put something out that you're not happy with. So, but in Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me, there are some deleted scenes.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, thank you for all your beautiful ideas.
Thank you.
During all these years. I once heard Miles Davis used to prohibit himself to play classical songs. He always kept saying to his band,
He prohibited himself from playing classical songs?
Yeah.
Forbid it.
He told his band that they should always move forward and investigate and experiment. You made a beautiful film, The Straight Story, in which you obviously showed and proved that you could do a classical film very beautifully. But I wonder if you have something of that thrive, of that keep continuing investigating the language instead of doing what you could already know.
That's like I say, ideas are the number one thing. So if I get ideas, then they tell me what it's going to be, if it's classical or if it's more abstract. So the straight story, though, my another wife at the time, she and her childhood friend wrote this script about this old man who rode on a lawnmower to see his brother. She and her friend John spent years on this script. I'm hearing about it all the time. I have zero interest in this story. And one day the script was finished. And they asked me if I would read it. Not to direct it or anything, but just read it. And so I sat down one weekend and read this, and I feel all this emotion. And I'm thinking, could this emotion be gotten in cinema? And I said that I wanted to make this film. It was so fortunate that Richard Farnsworth said yes to this, because he is this person that was perfect. And I say also that maybe it was one of my most abstract films, because this thing of emotion, it was a straight ahead story, couldn't deviate, time was always going forward, and so these elements, very few elements have to come together in a certain way, in the look and the pace, in the sound and the music, to conjure a feeling. Like we all know that sometimes someone's crying on the movie screen, but we don't feel sad. And this thing of talking, having the thing come out of that and give an emotion is such a tricky thing, so delicate. And the tiniest little thing can break it. So to me, it was a big experiment to try to get the emotion that I felt from reading that script into the film. But I love the journey and am very happy I did it, and very happy that I got to work with Richard Farnsworth and all the rest of them in that film.
Well, yesterday I was at the Reina Sofia Museum, and you talk many times about enlightenment. I'd like you, if you want to talk as a parallel about the TV series Enlightened by Laura Dern, where the character, she is trying to transform herself and transform the world at the same time. I think maybe most of us here will agree that the world we live in needs healing. So I think we all have that mission, and you with your proposal of Transcendental meditation, it's on his path. So what can we do to transform ourselves, but also trying to do something to the world at the same time?
So a beautiful a question. Such a beautiful question. What can we do to transform ourselves, and what can we do to bring real peace to the world? And the secret, and it's always been the answer, the secret lies within. In this world today, all you got to do is turn on the TV and see that in pretty much every country, people are divided. They're divided on pretty much everything. And when they talk, they don't listen to the other. And there's still many well-wishers of humanity. But if you picture a tree, you picture the world as a tree, and the boughs are falling down, and the leaves are brown and yellow. It's not a healthy tree. Up until now, people try on the level of the leaves, surface cures. There's a leaf for AIDS, there's a leaf for breast cancer, there's a leaf for corruption, there's a leaf for the Red Cross, there's a leaf for everything, and people pour money in to try to make a yellow leaf green or a brown leaf green. And what they find is, as soon as they maybe get a leaf green, and they may not even get the leaf green, some 6 or 7 leaves behind them have turned yellow or brown. Surface cures were never going to take care of this. But they say the experienced gardener waters the root, gets the nourishment from the deepest level, and automatically the whole tree comes up to perfection. And the flowers appear on that tree, and the fruit appears. And on the world tree, watering the root is enlivening this unified field at the base of all matter and mind. Enlivening unity in the midst of diversity is peace. The fruit appears, it's real peace. Real peace is not just the absence of war, it's the absence of all negativity. It's very, very strange. Negativity, they say, is just like darkness. And when you say, what is darkness? And you look at it, you say, darkness isn't anything. Darkness is the absence of something. You start ramping up a light, and darkness automatically goes. You start ramping up this field of unity, this light of unity, and negativity automatically goes. It's a big, big, big secret that's getting to be not so secret anymore. Peace greeting groups, that Maharishi brought out these technologies for the individual and for peace in the world. These advanced techniques of transcendental meditation done in a group are quadratically more powerful than the same number of people scattered about. This group is this thing called constructive interference. And the idea is a scientific thing where if you had 3 loudspeakers separated playing the same thing, it's a certain volume. But if you put the 3 loudspeakers close together, it's 9 loudspeakers worth of volume. If you put these, advanced meditators in a group on a permanent basis, they say you just need the square root of 1% of a population. And this is a small number of people that can generate so much of this unity, this coherence and harmony for a population, that they bring this harmony, to the people without they haven't even meditate. These peace-creating groups are going to do it one day, and you could do something to support peace-creating groups. For the individual, you could become a lighted lamp unto yourself. You get this technique, stress goes away, sorrow, depression, hate, anger, fear start to lift away, big happiness, intelligence can grow, creativity grows, universal love is there, it grows, and this deep, deep, deep contentment of peace comes. And we influence our environment. So if you're stressed and angry and negative, this is the vibe you put out. If, on the other hand, you got this happiness, a lot of times arguments go because both people are miserable. If one person suddenly gets very happy, it stops the argument. It's so incredible. The happy person can take all this yelling, and it's almost funny. And that stops this person. This person says, wait a minute, you're not arguing anymore. What's the problem? And then you tell them about it, and then they do it, and then pretty soon you've got a very beautiful thing going for your friends and your family. And like I said, it feeds the work. More creativity, more joy in the doing, really, really loving the doing more and more. People work and work and work, but they don't enjoy the work so much. They do it for the goal of the work. And your life is going by. So this field within. Transcendental meditation is just a key that opens the door to that. That field is what does everything good for the human being. So get this technique. You do it 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, and then go about your business and watch things get very, very, very good. All you need is a legitimate teacher of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's Transcendental Meditation, a mental technique, an ancient form of meditation that truly works. It truly allows you to transcend and experience this eternal level of life. And it's such a blessing for the human being and the world.
We've got time for one more question.
Really? Here? Here?
Yes.
So, about this technique that you're talking about of transcendental meditation, that it seems to be very simple, of 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. Is it possible that if you get this technique wrong or something, you can attract negativity or bad energy or something like that?
You won't get it wrong. It's very simple. It's easy and effortless. It's not a trying or concentrating form of meditation, not a contemplation form. Concentration forms of meditation and contemplation forms of meditation will just keep you on the surface. This is a unique form of meditation that turns the awareness 180 degrees from out to within. You naturally and easily and effortlessly dive through subtler levels of mind and intellect. At the border of intellect, you transcend and experience unbounded consciousness, unbounded happiness. It's such a sublime feeling. And the reason, once you're turned within, the reason it's so easy and effortless, the human being's mind always wants to go to fields of greater happiness. Each deeper level of mind has more happiness. Then each deeper level of intellect has even more happiness. And at the border, the transcendent is infinite happiness. You'll go right in there. You'll wish you could stay, but you'll pop out with thoughts, and then you dive again. Every time you experience that transcendent, that ocean of pure consciousness, you infuse some. So you start expanding whatever size consciousness you had to begin with, all those positive qualities, and you're boogieing. There have been 600 or 700 studies on this showing nothing but benefits. No bad side effects. The only side effect is negativity stops giving you all the trouble.
Okay, so sorry, we are out.
Let's have one more question.
Yes? Okay. You're the boss.
Okay.
Hi. Hello, David.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello. I was wondering, while you're shooting the movie, if you follow your screenplay, or it's more some kind of reference and you prefer to swim into the improvisation in the set?
No. I hate improvisation mostly. I follow the screenplay because those are the ideas that come. The screenplay is a chance to organize your ideas and get them in the right lineup. And so each thing that you write is written in a way that the idea will come back to you when you read it. So it's a blueprint for the house, like. And so when you work, you want to get everybody, you want to follow the script. Now, there's another thing. You could think that your script is complete, that it's the final thing. But I say you should always be on your toes because something could come along that jumps it. Some things can come along, but then you suddenly, you maybe get an idea, but it's not part of this. It's some kind of thing that was triggered from something, but it's not part of this. But you write that down and put it in the box for later. Some happy accidents can happen when you're working. And a thing can come out and you say, oh, this is such a blessing. This is jumping this thing. How did I think this was finished? This is such a beautiful thing because it's now much more complete. But you go along with your eyes open, your ears open, because something could come along and join to it that jumps it and that you can't believe. So, but basically you've got your ideas in order and basically you follow the script. You bet.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Lynch, for this time. It's been wonderful.
Carlos, thank you very much, and thank you all for being here.
Student wants to give you a gift.